What a night in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The most fun game of the Pacers season. They take down the Cavs. They get a comeback win. And so much happened. The coach got ejected. The dunk of the year. A crazy comeback. Some star performances. Buddy Hield hit one of the craziest shots I've ever seen. I have so much to say, and we'll do it all today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in to another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers as always. My name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and SI, and today, holy smokes, do we have a lot to get to. Game of the year of this season, at least for the Pacers, in terms of fun atmosphere. Obviously, they've had some awesome games, but for me, especially home games, this one was the one. First sellout of the year for the Pacers. Incredible performances from several players. Huge highlight plays. An ejected coach. A crazy game flow. And if you're a fan of the team, a win against a top team in the East. The Pacers have now beaten 3 of the top 6 in the East in the last 8 days. They're rolling. They're 2 games over 500. And I just have to apologize because I can't do this game justice. Like, it had everything and the crowd was in it. It was awesome. Awesome. But I will try because it was just a fantastic game to be a part of, and see the performances go down. Pacers beat the Cavs 135-126. What a score that is for this Pacers team. And wildly enough, if you jump just straight into the box score, this game probably looks insane. Like, the Pacers' formula for winning this game was bizarre, right? The Cavs smoked them. 17 offensive rebounds, something that's destroyed the Pacers of late. 17 offensive rebounds. They get 8 more than the Pacers in this game. They take 11 more shots. That's been the Pacers' kryptonite all season. The Cavs made 12 out of 28 threes. That's 43%. They shot 52% from the field. They only had 10 turnovers. Like, all these stats that make you go, wow, they played an efficient game. They were clicking on defense. They were doing all these things really well, and they were. They scored 126. But the Pacers' box score is ridiculous. It makes no sense, right? They only got 4 offensive rebounds. They got killed in the glass, but the Pacers, 20 of 21 from the foul line, only missing once. 19 of 31 from deep. That's insane. 61%. They shot better on threes than twos in this game. Everybody was hitting from deep. Halliburton made 6 out of 8. Buddy Hield made 5 out of 6. Every starter shot 50% or better from deep in this game. Completely ridiculous. Only 8 turnovers in the entire game for the Pacers. They had as many blocks as turnovers in this basketball game. So while the Pacers did a pretty crummy job at defending at times in this game, they got killed on the offensive glass by a team with way more size than them. They looked awesome for much of this game because they took care of the ball, and it felt like every shot they took in one of the wildest games they have played all season. And it was an up and down game, which really added to kind of that element, right? 11 times this game was tied, 16 lead changes, the longest run. It was only 10 points. Like, you can open up the NBA, if you go to the NBA.com box score, has this lead tracker page that does a pretty good job showing the game flow of a game. And it shows you the margin that each team is ahead or behind. And usually it goes up to like 20, because in the NBA these days, teams go up 20, and then there's other ones. The biggest lead this game was 9 for the Pacers at the final buzzer. Prior to that, it was only 7 by the Cavs, right? Like, this game was close the whole way. Like, no, Pacers up in the middle of the first, Cavs up at the end of the first. Pacers up at the middle of the second, Cavs up at the end of the second. Pacers up at the end of the third, Cavs go up big early in the fourth. It was just an insane basketball game. There were a few key moments that did wonders for the Pacers in this game. First of all, their start. They have not been starting well a lot this season. They did a really good job jumping all over the Cavs early, and I thought that would be a tough time for them in this game because they're playing a huge Cavs team, starting Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Pacers start Aaron Nesmith, right? If you'll recall, they played the Cavs 13 days prior. They went back to Jalen Smith. That was Jalen Smith's last start of the season to get the right size in there. They said, bah humbug with that. This time, Aaron Nesmith, 6'5" at the 4 against those giant lineups, and the Pacers cross matches were nuts. Buddy Hield was on Jared Allen, right? Buddy Hield, a guard, was guarding a center because that is the best way the Pacers could match up, and it kind of worked, right? There were definitely times where Jared Allen was just kind of dumping into the post and doing whatever he wanted, but it was working for the Pacers early in this game. Yes, again, Allen was 8 for 11 for 19 points and 14 rebounds, but it slowed down everybody else and let the Pacers play the speedy way they want to play. And that's why they jumped out to a lead pretty quickly in this game. 15-11, they were up like 9-7 or something. 13-7, I think was their biggest lead. Like, they did a pretty good job early in the game. Subs came in, kind of changed things. Cavs go up. Second quarter, starters sub back in, right? That was the first half was so back and forth that there wasn't like a moment or a run or a player. Mathurin had a really, really good first half. He led the team in scoring. He was the guy early in the second quarter that kept the Pacers in it. But, there were a bunch of guys contributing. The Pacers get up 4 in the middle of the frame, and then the Cavs just take it right back. Like, it really was hard to get a feel for where this game was headed, right? They scored 13 points really quickly in the second quarter. It looked like the Pacers had it, and then Nesmith got into foul trouble, and all these bursts kept going back and forth. There was a lot of mismatch hunting, right, because of those cross matches that made it so no team really got a flow, right? There was just always a matchup advantage for somebody, and when the Pacers were hitting every three, they're in a game. It felt like they had no business being in it, but they couldn't miss. And then the third quarter comes, and this is where the game had all of its topsy-turvy craziness that made this game the special night that it was, right? In the third quarter, I thought the Pacers were about to give this game away because there was a couple moments where the threes stopped falling and the Cavs were crushing them on the offensive glass in the middle of this quarter, right? And that is when the Cavs put their foot on the glass and got a lead. They got up 6 with 6:18 to go in the third, right after Jared Allen got a bucket after offensive rebounds. Donovan Mitchell had just hit a 3 after his team grabbed an offensive rebound, right? Garland just hit a floater, you'll never guess, after an offensive rebound. It felt like the stretch that has always killed the Pacers for this time. Then they sub. Nesmith gets a big 3. Halliburton scores. Halliburton hits 2 threes, and all of a sudden they're back ahead. And that was a huge moment, the shooting to keep up, because I actually tweeted in that moment, and I told Dustin Doperak at the Indy Star, who's sitting right next to me, I said, one of these dams is going to break first. Either the Pacers' shots will stop going in, and the Cavs will go on a big run because they are dominating the possession game, or the Cavs will stop getting every rebound, and the Pacers will go on a big run because their offense looks great. And the Pacers were the team that held steady and did a little bit better on the glass from that point on in the quarter to really seize a little bit of control at a needed part of the game. And that stretch ends up being crucial because the Cavs really did close the third quarter strong. But the big moment here, Pacers up 8, 2:30 to go. We'll go into more detail on this whole sequence in the final segment. And then all of a sudden, 5-0 run from the Cavs, ending with a play where the refs completely messed up. They botched it. There was a travel on Donovan Mitchell that went uncalled. The refs admitted it in the pool report after the game. Again, we'll talk about this in the third segment. Rick Carlisle goes nuts. He's angry, loses his composure, goes right at a ref. He's yelling at him. He's tossed from the game. And the Pacers lost some momentum, and they lost their coach, who had just coached one of his best games of the season against Atlanta. Killer time to lose him. Cavs tie the game up 25 seconds later. That felt like a big turning point moment. And the Pacers did a good job. They had the lead going into the fourth. And again, more huge moments in the game, right? Fourth quarter starts, Pacers up 3, Cavs 10-0 run to start the quarter. 10-0 run. Timeout. Lloyd Pierce is now in charge. There's 10 minutes to go. The Cavs are up 7. Rick Carlisle just got ejected. The Pacers are falling apart. And then Ben Mathurin, huge plays. Layup at the basket. 2 free throws. 2 more free throws. All of a sudden, it's a 3-point game because he just scored 6 points in under a minute. That was huge. Then a couple subs come in. Miles Turner checks in. He does a great job. Aaron Nesmith's now in the game. All of a sudden, the Pacers slowly start chipping at it. It's the Cavs go up again. 6 minutes to go. More subs. In comes Halliburton. In comes Hield. Pacers are behind by 2 when those guys come in. And they were both awesome down the stretch of this game. Hield hits a jumper less than a minute after coming in. Halliburton scores a bunch of points down the stretch. Aaron Nesmith with the moment of the game. Aaron Nesmith's getting the entire second segment today with a dunk with 3:07 to go in the game, all over Jared Allen. Oh my gosh, it was one of the best in-game dunks I've ever seen. It's up there with O'Shea Brissett's dunk last year from the Lance behind the back pass. And that put the Pacers up 6 with 3 minutes to go. Reminder, they blew a lead that big against the Cavs 13 days ago. But this time, behind the momentum of Nesmith, behind a Miles Turner block, they just kept going. Mathurin scores. Nesmith scores a couple more. And they hold on to win a game with so many events, with a crowd into the game, with star performances. We'll get to Hield and Halliburton in the final segment here. They both were tremendous. 29-9 for Halliburton, 25 for Buddy Hield, who again shot over 80% from deep. Nesmith was amazing. Mathurin was amazing. Turner was fantastic as well. 14, 12, and 6 blocks. We'll talk about all those guys in the final segment because there were so many moments. But telling the story of this game, you have to tell every single moment because all of these runs, all of these moments, these big plays, and every time it was a different pacer. It was Buddy Hield going on a surge, Benedict Mathurin going on a surge, Halliburton's offense in the fourth, Nesmith stunk, Turner's defense. They all did it. Team effort in a super fun game. Maybe the most fun. For me, this was the most fun game of the season between the crowd atmosphere, the many moments. But for many, at least, a fantastic game and a great way to close out Locked On Pacers for the year. So we got to do 2 more segments on this game. This one was fantastic. Next up, we got to talk about Aaron Nesmith, the game he played, the moments he had, how he was so vital in helping the Pacers close this one out, and his growth and the month he's had for the Pacers, right? I wrote about this 2 weeks ago, and he's only gotten better in the interim. So let's talk about the dunk. Tyrese Halliburton said, best he's ever seen in person. That requires an entire segment. Before we do that, though, a quick message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. You're hanging out with some friends and putting back a few drinks. A few becomes a few too many. As the evening comes to an end and people start to head out, you think of calling for a ride. Nah, you think you live nearby. You can make it home. Okay, it's no big deal. What are the odds you get pulled over anyway? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? Your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you lose your job, you total your car, you kill someone. Everyone knows about the risks of driving drunk. The results are tragic and often deadly. However, that still doesn't stop everyone from getting behind the wheel while under the influence. That's why police officers are out there right now looking for impaired drivers on our roads to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Play it safe. Plan ahead and get a ride. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Drive sober or get pulled over. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Pacers your first listen today and every single day. For your second lesson, of course, Locked On Cavs is the way to go. Hear their perspective on a game that the Cavs are probably happy with how they played. JB Bickerstaff said after the game that the Cavs played Indiana's game. They played a high-paced game. It was fast. It was up and down. It was not the Cavs style, and that is why the Pacers won. Cavs guys will break that one down in great detail. How fitting to end the podcasts this month and this year, talking about a guy who's had the best month of his career by a mile. He's got a chance to cap it off with another game on Saturday. But Aaron Nesmith deserves so much flowers for his December, for the way he played in this game. He was tremendous. That's not even a word. Tremendous in this game in a way that really helped the Pacers put it away. And it also, look, he did a lot of good stuff. We'll talk about his whole game, but there's no point of bearing the lead. We got to talk about the dunk. It was, without a doubt, to me, the play of the year for the Pacers so far in the non-Andrew Nembhard shooting the highest three-pointer over LeBron James you've ever seen division. I mean, it was just insane what happened. So Miles Turner throws Aaron Nesmith the ball on the left wing, left corner, really, and he's defended by Evan Mobley, one of the best defenders in this game. Mobley closes out. Nesmith shot fakes. He drives the baseline, and he's met by Jared Allen, another one of the best defenders in this game. And Kalen Cooper was tweeting this, but like Aaron Nesmith has not been the best at, under control driving past closeouts this year. His handle's a little better, but not to this level. He takes 2 controlled dribbles, jumps up at Jared Allen, cocks back from the left block, and just dunks all over him. Head at the rim. It was the highest I've ever seen him dunk. He was so high up. It was insane. Poor Jared Allen there's no way he saw this coming. I don't think anyone saw it coming. It was absolutely nuts. And it's fun to see the replay as he lands and turns around. He's flailing, first of all, because he was just so high up that he has to take a second to be composed. You can see Benedict Mathurin in the vertical frame of it, and his mouth just immediately agape, right? Then the pan frames, and Miles Turner's in the right corner. He's not even running back on defense yet. His hands are just behind his head in awe. There's people in the crowd going absolutely nuts, and Nesmith is just screaming in celebration as it cuts to him. It cuts to Tyrese Halliburton, same thing. Both hands behind his head. It goes to the bench. Goga Bitadze is going absolutely insane with the rest of the Pacers teammates. It was a ridiculous dunk. I'm sorry for a lot of this podcast for not being able to describe many of the things that happened, but that was the play of the game and the best dunk from Nesmith I've ever seen. One of the best in-game dunks I've ever seen. Again, the Brissett one last year was ridiculous. Oladipo had some nasty ones, but it was ridiculous, right? So we're in the post-game podium room for media availability. Usually it's kind of obvious, who we're going to get in there, how it works. this behind the scenes will matter to the dunk story, is, we'll get the coach, and in this one we actually got two coaches, and then we'll get the two players who had the best game, the podium game, if you will. And sometimes if, there's a tie, they'll go to the guy who we haven't talked to in longer. But either way, usually it's pretty clear who the two best guys are. In this game, it could have been a million people. Halliburton, Hield, Turner, Mathurin. I would not have been surprised by several choices from the Pacers. We did get Nesmith, thankfully, because his fourth quarter was fantastic and the dunk was fantastic. And so he comes in from this door off to the right. And we can hear Tyrese Halliburton in the background going, talk about the dunk, because that's all anyone wanted to hear him talk about. So, of course, he was asked about the dunk, and he loved it. It was a huge fun moment for him. He was cracking a smile and chuckling in a way that he usually doesn't in media availabilities, which was awesome. He clearly loved it. And he said that they literally watched it on the TV in the locker room right after after the game, just to relive the moment, because it was maybe the play of the year for the Pacers. And I asked Tyrese Halliburton about it because, one, he was on the court and you could see his reaction, but two, he was the one in the background screaming, talk about the dunk, talk about the dunk. And Halliburton said it was amazing. It was probably the best dunk I've seen in person, right? So Tyrese Halliburton, basketball player, not a random guy in the crowd, said it was the best he's seen in person. It was awesome, right? And that was a lot of description and reliving a moment for you, but it does set up a scene for what the game was, because lo and behold, it was 123-119 when this play happened. Like, it was a close game, still in the balance. It was not fait accompli that the Pacers were going to win. Like, this was at the 3:07 mark that this happened. You go a minute back, 4:26 mark, Aaron Nesmith, just got them ahead, right? Oh, excuse me, that is the dunk. The Pacers actually got ahead from that dunk. Wow, I'm looking at the wrong Nesmith play on the game charts. Yeah, the Pacers were actually behind when Nesmith makes this dunk, right? It's 119-118 Cavs when he makes this dunk, and that gets them the lead that they never gave up. Halliburton scores on the next possession. Turner gets a block on LeVert. They get the ball back. Halliburton gets an and one on that free throw. Nesmith himself scores the next time down, and he shot fakes on that one from the right wing, puts a dribble on the floor, and finger roll layups when he realizes he has a gap from the elbow. It was an impressive finish. That's actually the play in my notes that I was confusing on the timeline with the dunk. So that put them up 6, and they were down 119-118 right before that whole sequence. So that his dunk, beyond being incredible, play of the year potential, re-energized the Pacers, got them back into the game, took the Cavs out of the game a little bit, and helped them go on a run to go up 6. And they still won the rest of the way, right? They went up 6 to up 9 over the final 3 minutes. But that stretch from 5:04, Buddy Hield hits a jumper at 5:04 to make it 118-119. And then 2 minutes later at 3:07, it's 125-119. That was all Aaron Nesmith jazzing up the team and making huge plays. And the defense was awesome the rest of the way. Miles Turner had another block. Mathurin scored again. But then Nesmith, right, the Cavs kept coming. Jared Allen gets some free throws. Evan Mobley got a layup. They were doing their thing. All of a sudden, it was 124-127. So, yes, the Pacers went on that huge stretch, but it wasn't over. Nesmith, floating jumper in the lane on an assist from Turner, gets him up 5. Then he gets fouled. He hits 2 free throws, ices the game, puts him up 7. His fourth quarter was bananas, and it all stems from that dunk. I mean, he just really hunkered down and made it happen, and he was smiling like crazy after the game, said it was so fun that play happened. And that's not even the whole story of his game, because, look, yeah, he had 12 points in the fourth quarter out of his 22. Obviously, he was at his best then, and obviously that play meant a lot to the Pacers, but plus 18 for Aaron Nesmith. Team high, game high for either team in a game where he was kind of the guy in the balance. Is he going to start? Is he not, right? Do they go back to Jalen Smith? Well, yeah, they should have started Aaron Nesmith. He was awesome. And that was huge, obviously, the fact that he can fit in at the 4 against these huge teams and be a big contributor and be a catalyst for their run to put the game away. But part 2 of this is he defended really well, right? He talked about after the first time they played the Cavs, I was not physical enough with Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell scores over 40 points in that game. And this time around, look, Donovan Mitchell was still really good. He had 28 points. But he had 28 points on 25 shots, and he hit 5 threes. His 2-point game, he was 5 for 14 on 2s, right? 2 turnovers, minus 14 for Donovan Mitchell. So Nesmith wasn't guarding him the whole time, but was guarding him for stretches. The dunk of the year for him, maybe for the Pacers for the season. Catalyst for their big run that takes them over the Cavs and propels them to victory defends really well, 22-point podium game. Fantastic night to cap off Nesmith's ridiculous month that he is having. Going into this game, 10.5 points, 4.5 rebounds per game this month on 48-37 splits. Several of those numbers would be career highs for a month. He has been awesome. He's establishing himself on this Pacers team, and what a way to ice his year of Locked On Pacers discussion, because this is the last show of the year. And I still have a lot of guys and moments to talk about in this game. Tyrese Halliburton had 29. Buddy Hield hit a shot that I believe has never been done in NBA history. Rick Carlisle got ejected. But I can't even believe it. I haven't even said Lloyd Pierce's name yet on this podcast. So much happened in this game. We'll close out talking about it all to get you through 2022 here on Locked On Pacers. But before we do that, let me talk to you guys about Rocket Money. If your New Year's goals are to manage your budget better and save money, you need Rocket Money. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. It'll quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. Super easy to cancel them with just a few taps, those tricky ones. Amazon Prime, those streaming services you don't use anymore. You don't have to deal with the hold times of being with customer service necessarily. Just click a button, boom, it's done. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person $720 per year. Wow. You've got to try it yourself. Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. That's rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. rocketmoney.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Pacers your first listen today and every single day. For your second listen, Locked On Sports Today is the way to go. Go beyond the scoreboard, behind the scenes for the biggest stories in sports here with the local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. Available on Odyssey, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Look, the Nesmith deserves all his flowers. This game deserved a proper recap of all the moments that made it happen. But there was a lot of stuff that you can't even fit into this game. Chris Duarte got hit in the head, and who knows what that's going to lead to for him. He might not be able to play for a little bit. He didn't return to the game after that happened. Now it's like the 10th thing on my list of notes to talk about from this game. Let's lead off with Buddy Hield's night. Ridiculous again. Big deal to me that 2 nights ago on Tuesday, he was 6 for 7 from deep, 85.7% from three that game. That was his first time over 70% this season. He was over 80% from deep in that game. And then tonight he said, you know what? I'm just going to do it again. 5 for 6 from deep, 83.3% from beyond the arc, 10 for 14 from the field, 25 points plus 14. He is on fire. This was one of those NBA Jam games. His hands would be on fire. The net would be on fire. The stadium would be on fire. I would be on fire. I mean, everything would be burning. He just can't miss right now. It's been absolutely ridiculous, the stretch he's been on. In Buddy Hield's last 5 games, 24 for 34 from deep. That's almost 5 per 7 per game. 71% from 3 in that last 5 games. Ridiculous shooting he's done recently. And oh, by the way, yes, understood context that Steph Curry has been out. Buddy Hield now first, number 1 in the NBA in 3-pointers made at 137. Ridiculous stretch he's been on, and ridiculous game that he played. They were all in huge moments in this game. The Cavs had no answer for him. He's got this one dribble one going on, and I haven't even talked about the historic, I believe, first ever moment of this game. I'm going to try to find the tweet. I cannot remember if it was from the actual NBA account or from one of those other NBA stats accounts. So this game starts. The tip happens. Miles Turner versus Jared Allen. The ball goes up. It's tipped by Jared Allen, but he tips it backwards, right? And it goes right to Buddy Hield, who catches it at the top of the three-point line, turns around and just shoots. So no one dribbled. No one has even moved yet. And Buddy Hield has turned around and shot the ball. And it goes in on the 11:57 mark on the clock. I found the tweet. 3 seconds into the game, the fastest three-pointer recorded in a game in the play-by-play era. The previous record, you guessed it, Reggie Miller, 4 seconds in March of 2000. So Buddy Hield, a record-breaking shot on the opening tip, just catching, turning, and shooting. I'm not even kidding. You can see Andrew Nembhard in the clip if you haven't seen it yet. He literally just turns around to see what's happening and realizes Buddy shoots. He takes 1 step towards the basket and then just walks back on defense. That was ridiculous. Record-breaking shot for a player who cannot miss right now. And his routine, his consistency has been special for the Pacers. Look, you know what's funny is that I'm 25 minutes into this recording, and I am just now talking about Tyrese Halliburton who had 29 points, 6 for 8 from deep, 9 assists, plus 12, 2 steals, only 1 turnover. It's almost pedestrian, given how good he has played recently, taking over in the fourth on Tuesday, the game winner against the Heat last Friday, 30 whatever it was against the Celtics, 33, 34. He's been so good recently that a 29-point game, kind of afterthoughty, which is ridiculous. That's the level he's been playing at. That's the player he is now. He's a star. That's what stars do, right? Nights like this become routine. Obviously, other stuff will happen. He will not. The Pelicans game happened in the middle of that. He was not very good in that game. He hasn't had a 10 assist game in a while, but he's made a turn into figuring out how he can score. He's on fire. The team's won 4 of 5, and he's been a huge part of that. He was ridiculous in this game. And fitting, shout out to Jack Chris from Nuvo, who said this to me right at the end. Look, the game was over down the stretch. Like, I think the Pacers were up 7 or something, 8 at this time. I was 7. With less than 10 seconds to go, the Cavs score. It's 133-126. It's over. It's a 7-point game. And the Cavs still fouled. They cannot win. The odds of them winning are less than 0.1%. And they foul, and that sends Haliburton to the line for 2 free throws that got him to 29 points, which pushed him past Donovan Mitchell's 28 and meant he was the high-scoring man of the night. So the Cavs foul that did not affect the result of the game. They didn't even shoot on the next possession. Why did you foul if you're not, if you're slowing down the game to not shoot, whatever? Haliburton ends up becoming the guy of the night from that moment. So I thought that was pretty funny and interesting. He was special. Okay, the other thing I can't believe I'm this far in and haven't talked about yet, Rick Carlisle, tossed, ejected, gonzo in the third quarter. I brought it up earlier, I guess. What a moment this was. So I have to give myself a whoopsie. So here's the sequence. I'll try to describe it the best I can, again, by using a video that I can see on my Twitter page. So Donovan Mitchell has the ball. This is the third quarter. Pacers are up. I can't remember. It was a pretty close game at this stage, but the Pacers were ahead. And Donovan Mitchell dribbles towards the left elbow through a double team and is met by none other than Benedict Mathurin. And so he steps back to try to get a jumper. So he has now taken a step with his left foot. He jumps back with that left foot, and Mathurin's right in his face. So he lands, he pivots off that left foot, he steps forward with the right. He's already taken 3 steps. And he throws the ball off the backboard. And he jumps up, and he catches it, and he just lands on the ground. And I thought that was a travel. Apparently, you're allowed to pass it off the backboard to yourself, Tracy McGrady style. I thought you had to get rid of it. Either way, he did all that. He's already taken 3 steps. Then he lands, and then he looks at the basket. Miles Turner standing right over him. And without dribbling, he just kind of hops under the basket and then goes up with a fake. Miles Turner blocks him. He hits a cutter, and the Cavs dunk. Ridiculous. He probably took 6 steps and threw the ball off the backboard to himself without dribbling. Pacers were obviously heated. So Carlisle rushes out to yell at the ref about it. He's ejected so fast. He got 2 texts in ridiculously fast succession. He was out of there. Lloyd Pierce coached the rest of the game. And it was fascinating because I thought throwing it off the backboard is a travel. It's not. You're allowed to land after doing that. I did not know that. The rule book, I had to Google the NBA rule book during the game. Quote, a player may not be the first to touch his own pass unless the ball touches his backboard, basket ring, or another player. So the self-pass was legal, but the 5 steps and the hopping under the basket with the ball without dribbling, that was a travel. And then Dustin Dopirak of the Indy Star did the pool report with the officials after the game and asked, and he said, should there have been a travel after? It looked like he maybe hopped after he caught it. And the refs said, upon review, when we got into the locker room, we see that there was a hop step. So Mitchell did travel, but Carlisle got ejected for that moment. And Lloyd Pierce coached a hell of a fourth quarter. He got the right guys in there at the right time and rode some momentum to a win. So that was nuts. I mean, Lloyd did a great job. I think he's like 3-0 this year when Carlisle can't go or is tossed. So good for him. He was great. It was fun to hear him speak after the game when it does get his chances to do media sessions. That was wild. And when you see the video, it will look even weirder than I just described it. I did my best. And now I'll close out with highlighting the final 2 fantastic performances. We've done Nesmith, we've done Haliburton, we've done Hield. On the very, very good, but somehow in the 4th and 5th spots for performances in this game, Benedict Mathurin had 23. He hit 7 of 14, and he got to the line 9 times. It's been a while since he's had a game with that much force the whole time. He was really good for the Pacers in key stretches in the early 4th and during the second quarter. He closed the game. He played 31 minutes. Well-deserved. He played more than Nembhard and Nesmith. He was well-deserving of a bunch of minutes. He was special, plus 12 in this game. And then Miles Turner. I already brought this up a little bit. His defense was ridiculous. 14 points for Turner, below his season average, whatever. He was 6 for 11. 12 rebounds. That was big. The only Pacer with more than 4 rebounds in this game was Miles Turner. That is not a misspeak. The Pacers had one player with more than 4 boards. If they had lost this game, there would have been a segment or two about rebounding because the Pacers have been miserable at it recently. But Turner was good at it. He had 12, and he also had 3 assists and 6 blocks, 6 huge, massive blocks, plus 16. That was the second best for the Pacers. Everybody who played did something well in this game, right? Jalen Smith hit 2 of his 3 shots. TJ McConnell had 4 assists in this game, and he didn't miss any of his 3 shots. Andrew Nembhard defended the guards of the Cavs pretty well. He also had 4 assists and only 1 turnover. O'Shea Brissett had 4 boards and 7 points in this game. Besides Duarte, who was over 4 and got hit in the head, everybody who played did well, just like against Atlanta. And the Pacers, they've won 4 out of 5. Here they come once again. I thought they wouldn't respond after. I thought they might be done with their run of crazy responses after the Cavs and Knicks crushing losses. And since then, they've just, quietly won 4 or 5 against crazy good competition. They beat Miami. They beat Boston. They beat Cleveland. They've been playing. They beat Atlanta. They've been playing so well. And here we go. The Pacers back in 6th in the East. The Knicks have lost 5 straight, and the Pacers now back in the playoff spot in the East. They are 4 games ahead, firmly in the play-in spot. They're playing great. They're looking good, and this game was an absolute blast. And this was the last show of 2022 for Locked On Pacers. Their final game of the year is Saturday against the Clippers. We'll be breaking that down on Monday, previewing the Raptors game, all that sort of stuff. But if you've listened to a lot of shows this year, if you've listened to one show this year, this is the first show you've listened to this year. Thank you so much. It means the world to me to be able to do this as a profession and talk about the NBA every day. Thank you so much. It is much appreciated. I hope you have a fantastic 2023. We will be back on Monday talking Clippers, talking Pacers, and maybe looking back more on this game because it was fantastic and fun. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, find a way. I'll help you if you don't know how. And everybody have a great and safe New Year's. Follow me on Twitter @TEastNBA and this podcast @Locked On Pacers. Till then, everybody, we will see you soon.